Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to spend with me and watch the video. Always appreciate that. And guys, today I'm going to show you how to make and modify what I call a finesse craw setup. This is a really good deal for pitching and flipping. It's a really good deal for casting. It will get you a lot of bites anytime that the fish are a little bit more finicky. So we're going to show you guys how to do it. I think you guys would really like to add this to your technique and to your arsenal out there. Also, guys, quick invitation. I'd just like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance, to please consider subscribing here to Intuitive Angling. It's free and it's easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, and you can unsubscribe anytime if you don't like something I do or something I say. You can just hit that unsubscribe button, which a lot of people do. If I say something offensive like you shouldn't be using braided fluorocarbon, people just will unsubscribe to that every time. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, the modification that I'm talking about, it involves a zoom little critter craw and a finesse jig head here. This is just, actually this one right here, guys, is just a homemade version, but there's a lot of good ones. I use one made by Jules sometimes, some type of a finesse jig head here. And also, guys, I will link everything in my tackle warehouse link in the description. That dang plane and helicopter, I don't care if I come out here at 2 o'clock in the morning, that thing's gonna be flying over when I do a video. It's like, what other freaking odds are that? You guys can probably hear it there, so sorry about the noise. But anyway, guys, I'll link everything in my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video for you guys to get set up with this. Okay, what you do is you've got to modify this to make it small and really finessey looking. Make it look like a really small, bite-sized tidbit of a crawdad. So the first thing I do with it, get you a good pair of scissors, and let me go over here and close the garage door. The boys are playing outside here. They're a little bit noisy out there. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys how to modify this. And this is a type of deal where if you're getting a lot of bites on like a Ned rig or a shaky head or something like that, something finessey, you can upsize a little bit to this deal I'm going to show you here. And a lot of times you can get some bigger fish without sacrificing the number of bites you get, because you do get a lot of bites with this setup here. Okay, guys, what you do, get you a zoom little critter craw, and there's segments there. If you guys see that there's different segments to it, come down 3 segments and cut it off at 3 segments like that. The next thing you want to do is you want to take off the little side pincher things here, because I found that these side pinchers, what they do is they slow the bait down a little bit too much. They offer too much drag, so I'm going to nip those off like this. And then finally, the little tentacles between the pinchers there, I'm going to cut those tentacles off, because by cutting those tentacles off, it gives you more separation and the claws are more outlined like that. So it's just a little bit more of a visual look that I like the way it looks. The next thing you do, take your jig head, and this right here, guys, this is a 3/16. I normally like anywhere between a 3/16 to a 7/16, depending upon how deep I'm fishing or how hard the wind's blowing. But the lighter one is the better. I sort of like the 3/16 the best. And thread this thing on, and make sure when you're threading it on that you go real slow, because you really need to get the thing perfectly straight and perfectly in line to make it fall correctly. Because if you don't do that, it's not going to fall right. It'll fall off to one side a little bit too much. So that's going to be the setup there. And then with the weed guard, depending upon how heavy of cover I'm fishing, sometimes I'll thin the weed guard out a little bit. If I'm fishing it in a little bit thicker cover, I'm going to leave that weed guard intact. And if I'm fishing it like where there's no cover to get hung up on, like gravel banks, sometimes I'll cut the weed guard completely off. But little tidbit crawdad, guys, that's just like a little 3-inch long crawdad. This is the favorite size of bass right here, the favorite size of crawdads. They love about a 3-inch crawdad. And sometimes I will take and I'll color up the tails a little bit. Let me show you, I'll dye this up. If it's on a cloudy day, or if the water visibility is, less than 3 feet, sometimes I'll put a little bit of a puff of a chartreuse on here with a marking pen. Adds just a little bit of color on there, makes it sort of stand out a little bit. Guys, that will get you a lot of bites right there, and that'll catch you a good one. This is one of the deals that's like sort of really popular here in the Ozarks. Some guys will use skirts on it, but I found out for the Finesse application. I don't want any skirt on it. I just want the straight jig head on the crawl like that. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what you want to fish it around, the scenario and the type of cover that you want to fish around. The thing about this jig head setup, guys, this thing works all year long. This is a 12-month out of the year deal. You know, in the winter time, you can fish it deeper, like off bluff banks is probably my favorite things. I'll put it on like, I do like it on a bait caster, even though it's a small bait. I usually put it on probably 10-pound test Seaguar and Vizex line is my favorite, 8 to 10-pound test. And there's something about the jig head on it is sometimes a little bit too heavy for a spinning rod, and sometimes I like to snap it and pop it a little bit. And I feel like I can get a little bit better pop and a little bit better action with a bait caster. So I usually use it on a 7-foot, some type of a medium heavy bait cast rod with a 10-pound test line. Wintertime or the early pre-spawn, channel banks or bluff banks is my favorite place to fish it. I'll just get in those major creek arms, get on the bluff banks, the steep banks, and I'll just meticulously pick apart the bank. I'll just pitch and flip or cast, you know, right to the bank, work it down anywhere between 5 to 20 feet, depending upon the water clarity. If the water visibility is, say, less than 3 foot, I'm looking for those fish to be in like less than 10 foot of water. And if that water visibility is really clear, like over 4 or 5 foot, they could be anywhere between 3 to 20 foot deep. Now, springtime of the year is also really good. I'll fish it just around any shallow cover all spring, you know, shallow grass, shallow rocks, shallow wood, anything like that. In the summertime and the fall time, it's all about boat docks. This is one of the best boat dock lures that you will have in the summertime and the fall. So I don't care if you're fishing piling type docks or floating docks. You know, the bait skips really good. I'll just pitch it and flip it around any boat docks, skip it up underneath the walkways, pitch it in the boat slips themselves and work it down there 10, 20 foot. But it'll just get you a lot of bites, guys. It really do. Green pumpkin and watermelon's about the only 2 colors that you use. And you'd be surprised when you put a green pumpkin on there and you dye the pincher chartreuse or maybe orange, I've caught a lot of fish on it in water visibility about, 12 to 15 inches. It works good in dirty water too. Just a good bait to get a lot of bites on. It's a real natural looking deal. So just want to add that to your arsenal, guys. If you haven't caught many fish on a jig, this is a good setup to start with because you will get a lot of bites on it. And like I said, it'll catch 12 inchers and 12 pounders on it. It was really made famous by a guy named Jim Akins who passed away a few years ago here in Missouri. He actually had the Akins jig, which was really a well-known, famous jig, although he did use some live rubber on it. And the modification that came past that I showed you guys today was just the bare naked version of it that just seems like it gets you a lot of bites when the fishing's tough. So anyway, guys, just add it to your arsenal. Like I said, I'll put everything that you need to get set up on it in my tackle warehouse link in the description of the video, and hope it helps out. We'll see you guys.